Okay. Let's go ahead and jump in here. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. This is the informational webinar for Digitizing Utilities Prize Round 3, Resilient Grid Innovation. This is a prize competition through the American Made program. As you can see here on this title slide, American Made is a program funded by the U.S. Department of Energy. This prize specifically is sponsored by the Office of Electricity within the DOE. My name is Lance Hawley. I'm going to be one of your presenters today. We have some of my colleagues along with us here at the National Laboratory of the Rockies, as well as other national labs and the DOE, of course. And you're going to be hearing from a few of us today. But we are very glad that you are here to join us to learn all about the Digitizing Utilities Prize Round 3. Today's session is being recorded. We are going to be sending a copy of this recording and the slides out via the HeroX platform where this prize lives. And we're going to get into all those details about this prize and how to compete as part of this webinar here today. If you do have questions that come up, we're going to have a Q&A session at the end, but you can feel free to put questions in the Q&A portion of the chat. And we can either be answering those as we go from my colleagues, or we can address them at the end. So please feel free. Here on screen, you can see our agenda for today. If you're not familiar with the American Made program, I'm going to give you just a brief overview because that'll give some context for this prize competition. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Office of Electricity, which is the DOE office that sponsors this prize. Then we're going to get into a high-level overview of digitizing utilities from the objectives of the prize to eligibility to how to compete. We're going to take a detailed look at the Phase 1 submission components and all the parts that you as a competitor would need to put together and submit to be considered for this prize. And then lastly, we will go over the HeroX platform so you know how to navigate this prize, as well as some additional opportunities and resources for you to take advantage of as a competitor. And then at the end, as I mentioned, we'll have some time for some live Q&A. Please jot down your questions as we go, or you can put them into the chat, and we'll go through those at the end. As I said earlier, this webinar is being recorded and will be made available on HeroX after the event if you're unable to make the whole thing or want to see a refresher. I'd like to start with an overview of the American Made program. Many of you may be familiar and some of you may not be, but this will give context for this prize and put it into a greater perspective. As I mentioned earlier, American Made is funded by the U.S. Department of Energy. We like to say that it is the fast track to energy innovation. We incentivize innovation through prizes like this one, collegiate competitions, vouchers, and opportunities to work with our network of experts. And the whole idea is to help science and technology solutions go further faster. The American Made program started back in 2018. And since that time, as you can see here, it has been supercharging a revolution of bold ideas. We have held over 100 prizes and competitions in that span of time. We have over 550 network members connected to American Made, and we have funded and awarded over 1,200 teams. This prize that we're talking about today, Digitizing Utilities Round 3, falls under this umbrella of American Made and all of these prizes and competitions and network members and teams funded. So by participating in this prize, you're part of a much larger ecosystem of Department of Energy funding opportunities through prizes. And I just wanted to share a little bit about that so you have a sense of context for where this prize fits in this greater system of competitions. As I mentioned at the beginning, this prize is sponsored by DOE's Office of Electricity, and we're just going to give a quick overview of the Office of Electricity. I'm not sure if Sandy is here. But in terms of the Office of Electricity's sort of goals here, OE leads the U.S. Department of Energy's R&D to strengthen and modernize our nation's power grid to maintain a reliable, affordable, and secure electricity delivery infrastructure. This prize competition is under OE. as it relates to the various objectives related to these items that you can see here, such as grid reliability, affordability, and delivering an infrastructure across the country that is up to modern standards. So we are proud to work alongside OE to put together this competition. With that context of both the Office of Electricity and the American-Made program, let's go ahead and get into this specific prize and its overview. So again, this prize is called Digitizing Utilities. This is round 3 of the prize. There have been 2 previous rounds, and there are some great advances that have been made across the different rounds of this prize. So we're excited to bring you this opportunity. This round 3 of Digitizing Utilities is a $2.425 million 2-phase competition, which aims to incentivize technology development partnerships with interdisciplinary teams of software developers and data experts to facilitate the transformation of digital systems, data analytics, and grid resource integration for the electric sector. Through this prize, the Department of Energy is particularly interested in identifying solutions to challenges related to extreme events. Additionally, DOE seeks demonstrations that produce contextualized grid datasets, which can contribute to public repositories to advance research and collaboration in the field. So this gives you a high-level overview. As I did mention, this is round 3 of the prize. You do not need to have competed in either of the previous rounds to be eligible for this one. We just wanted to make sure you know that it is part of a series of Digitizing Utilities prizes. Let's talk more about this prize pool. What is at stake? This prize offers a total pool of just over $2 million in cash prizes, and then $375,000 in vouchers across 2 phases. So if you add the prize pot and the vouchers, that's where the full prize amount of just over $2.4 million comes from. Let's break this down by phases. At the end of the plan phase, which is the first phase of the prize, there will be up to 16 competitors selected as winners, and they will each receive a cash prize of $75,000. So that's phase 1, the plan phase. Those winners then move into the second phase, called the progress phase, where we will have up to 5 competitors selected as winners. They will each receive a cash prize of $150,000 and a $75,000 voucher to redeem at a single DOE National Laboratory at the conclusion of the prize. So that means competitors who win the first phase, in addition to getting their $75,000 cash prize, they move straight into the second phase, the progress phase, and they can win another potential $150,000 plus $75,000 voucher. It is important to note here that we have this breakdown of cash prizes for you, and these are cash prizes given for work completed. This is not a grant program. Selected winners will be chosen because they have completed the goals of the prize, and the award is this cash prize that you are given to use as you see fit. There are not reporting requirements. You are able to use the funds to advance your initiatives and projects, and it is designed so that those competitors that win phase 1 are able to have some award funding that then makes them more competitive in the second phase there with the higher dollar amount prizes. There will also be additional details on these vouchers that are able to be redeemed at national labs once we get closer into the second phase of the prize, since those vouchers are only available to progress phase winners. In addition, we have 2 optional bonus prize opportunities. Anyone who's competing in that second phase of the prize, the progress phase, are also eligible to compete in the following optional $50,000 bonus prizes. One is called Impact with Public Research Data bonus prize on the left there, and the other is called the Federated Grid Data Security bonus prize. So for the Impact with Public Research Data, competitors who have demonstrations that result in contextualized grid data sets and who contribute data to public repositories of grid data will be awarded for that one. And for the Federated Grid Data Security Bonus Prize, that's looking for competitors who demonstrate a technology that enables secure, collaborative, and privacy-preserving learning across grid systems. Again, these two bonus prizes are worth $50,000 each. They're the same as other prizes where they are a cash award that you can do with as you choose, but they are only available to those teams competing in the progress phase, the second phase of the prize. So that covers our prize pools and what is at stake across these different phases, including bonus prizes. In terms of eligibility requirements for this prize, the competition is only open to private entities, which includes for-profits and nonprofits, non-federal government entities such as states, counties, tribes, and municipalities, and academic institutions. As I mentioned earlier, only winners of the plan phase, the first phase of the prize, are eligible to compete in the progress phase, and only progress phase competitors are eligible to compete for those two bonus prizes that we talked about. We do highly encourage everyone to reference the official rules. Section 1.4 is the eligibility section, and it has a full list of specific eligibility criteria. And it is up to competitors to read that section and determine your own eligibility based on your specific situations. So we wanted to call attention to that part of the rules document. But of course, we're highly encouraging everyone to read the entire rules document. If you were with us a while back when this prize was first being talked about, there's been some time that has passed, and this is a relaunch with modification. And so there is a rules document that is on the HeroX site. You can see the URL there in the middle of the screen for a rules document that is called Modification 1. So if you were involved with this prize previously, please go back, check out this rules document. There's a whole overhaul that has been done. And we want to make sure everyone is fully aware of what this prize aims to do and who is involved here. So please take a look at that rules document. And just in case some folks joined late, we are making these slides available and we are making this recording available so you can go back and see these links or access some of these items. And I believe links are probably being put here in the chat for everyone's quick usage as well. Okay. That covered kind of a high-level overview of the objectives of this prize, the prize pools, the money that is at stake here, a little bit about eligibility. We'd like to focus some time now on the actual first phase submission and the components that go into it. So this is going to be an overview of the different parts that you as a competitor would need to put together in order to compete in this prize. The objective for this first phase, which again is called the plan phase, is for teams of developers, scientists, engineers, and stakeholders to connect with an energy sector partner, identify a challenge or opportunity relating to new grid sensing capabilities or integration of energy resources into the grid under uncertainty, and propose a solution to address that challenge or opportunity. So you're going to connect with a partner, identify a challenge, and propose a solution. Teams must demonstrate a thorough understanding of the problem, as well as their ability to access relevant resources that can be leveraged for this prize. Teams should include examples of their applicable skills and expertise to solve the proposed problem. And in your submissions, teams must define their approach and plan of action to solve the issue presented. So this is an overview of the objective that we're looking for here in phase 1. Connect with a partner, identify the challenge, and propose the solution. The materials for a complete submission package in this first phase need to include all of the following items. First is an online public video. Second is a cover page and narrative document. Third is a summary slide. Fourth is a team biography. And fifth is a letter of commitment or support from your energy sector partner. All of these submission materials, with the exception of the video, will be submitted as PDF documents on our HeroX platform that we'll show you in a little bit here. All of these items also need to be completed prior to the submission deadline for this first phase, which is April 9th. You are able to go into the platform and begin your submission. You can be putting in these items as you complete them, and you can save it for later as long as everything is in before April 9th. You can always go back in and modify these items if needed to, and we'll show you how to access that in a minute here. But I'd like to go through these items one by one so you have a thorough understanding of what is involved in each. Let's start with the video. Again, this is online video, and this is a public-facing video. And there are 3 points that we are suggesting that competitors focus on. 1, what is the real-world problem that you're solving? 2, what's your solution? Why is it transformational? And 3, who are you? Who's your organization, your key team members, why you have a competitive edge? Now, you will need to post your video on something like YouTube or Vimeo so that it's public-facing. We ask that you be creative and produce a video that conveys the required information in an interesting, exciting way, but you don't need to take an extreme amount of time focusing on production values or things that are technical elements of a video like decor, lighting, cinematic techniques. You can take this video on your own at home. You could use a existing promotional video as long as it hits this suggested content here. This is meant to be a nice way to introduce you and your team and your solution so that the judges who review the submissions for this prize have a nice video element as an introduction. This is your first impression, as you can see in the tips box there. This is your first impression. Be creative, focus on your content. You can also watch previous winner videos from previous rounds of digitizing utilities, which are available on HeroX. And we always say to get feedback from other folks before you post your video online. So this is the first element, the online public video. The next element is your cover page. And this is simply basic information about your submission, your project title, your team name, short description, your location, key project members, and any other partners. This cover page will be attached to your narrative. It'll just be one large PDF, but we want to make sure that you know that this specific information needs to be in your cover page. I'd also like to take a moment right here to say, please think carefully about your project title and your team name. If you are selected as a winner, those elements will be used in announcement materials and prize promotion materials. So please make sure you have a team name and title that is accurate and appropriate for your situation, and that is something you would want to be public facing, because if you win the first phase and you move into the second phase, your team name and project title will stay with you there. So please think carefully about those. So this is your cover page, which is, as we mentioned before, connected to the narrative. And this is the main submission item in terms of your content and information. There are 5 questions, as you can see here, and you are going to be answering all 5 of them. The individual answers to each of the questions don't have a word limit. For example, there's no word limit for just question 1 or just question 2, but there is a word limit for the aggregate total of all 5 questions, and that's 2,500 words. That does not include captions, graphs, or any references. You can also include up to 5 supporting images, figures, or graphs, and the reviewers are going to take all of that content into account and score it based on the information that you provide. So you can see here, the first question is the overview of the problem. What problem are you trying to solve? Second question is about your team. Why is your team qualified to solve the identified problem? The third question is your solution. What is your solution to the problem? The fourth question are related to goals. What are you aiming to achieve during the progress phase? And then the fifth question is about your implementation plan. How will you implement your solution to the problem? As I mentioned earlier, the rules document has a full breakdown of each of these questions, and you'll see in the rules document a list of suggested content for each of these questions. And you can use that as a guide to make sure you're hitting each of the portions of each question. And in that same section of the rules document, right next to it, is a section that shows how those points will be judged, how they will be scored. So we highly recommend everyone is looking at the rules to not only see what content you should include, but how that content will be scored so that you can match up what you've provided to those scoring criteria. So again, this is the narrative document, and this is going to be your largest portion of content for your submission. We also have at the very end of the narrative, you will just need to express interest optionally if you are interested in competing in one or both of the bonus prizes that we talked about earlier. This is simply going to be added to the end. The rules document describes how to do that, but it's also shown here. You just have to have a written interest in submitting for a bonus prize or both. You have to indicate which that your team would submit for if you were to be selected as a winner, and just a quick paragraph summary that previews the intended bonus prize submission. This just goes right at the end of your narrative. And as we mentioned before, only competitors who are in the progress phase, the second phase of the competition, are eligible to compete for these optional bonus prizes, but you do have to express the interest here in your first phase submission. There are a couple other elements to the submission. We have a summary slide, which is a single public-facing slide, like a PowerPoint slide, that introduces you as a competitor and your mission or your organization. It could introduce your solution, your idea, your problem. There's no template for this, so it's up to you to present the information in the format you would like. We just ask that you make sure the text is readable on a printed page, or if it were projected in a conference room. Because again, this is meant to be something, if you're selected as a winner, this is a quick way to show who you are and what your project is, and would be used for other public-facing uses. As you put that together, just keep that part in mind there. But this is also a nice way to just quickly present a first impression of your team and your solution. You'll also have team biographies. These are for each team member involved in your project. You will need to have up to half page per person of a biography stating their previous and current experiences relating to the energy sector, as well as any additional professional background information that would help highlight your experience and knowledge. So again, this is for each member of your participating team here, and each member just a half page maximum. The last item is letters of support or commitment. It is required to have a signed letter of support or commitment from your energy sector partner, which contains a statement of commitment from the partner to work with the team in the progress phase should they be selected as a planned phase winner. So this needs to include a commitment to share data with the team in a timely manner, and it needs to include the energy sector partner's signature, date of signature, full name, position title, and primary contact information. Do note that this one letter of support or commitment from your energy sector partner is required. You may also have additional letters of support, and they could be from different relevant entities in your area or connected to your project. And that's up to you as you see fit. If you do have multiple letters of commitment, please combine them all into one PDF so that you can upload those just as a single item. But remember, you do have to have one required letter from your energy sector partner, and then you may optionally include additional letters if that makes sense for your situation. If you have multiple energy sector partners, that is fine, but you would need letters from each one that you would plan to work with in the second phase should you be selected as a winner. Okay, we just covered a lot of items, so I just want to quickly recap. These are the submission package items. If you are competing in phase one, we talked about an online public video, a cover page and narrative combined as one PDF, a submission summary slide, team biographies, and then letters of commitment or support from your energy sector partner and or others as appropriate for your situation. We do have templates available for some of these items. These are optional templates. You do not have to use them, but they help guide your materials. And those templates are available for the narrative document and for the team biographies. And those are located on our HeroX page in the resources section, which I'll show you in a minute here. So at the end, after phase one, you've completed all these items, you've submitted them into the portal, reviewers judge them, and then after that submission review, we will have up to 16 winners be selected and be awarded that $75,000 cash prize each. Those winning teams then move into the progress phase. We don't need to spend too much time on the progress phase because everyone is focusing just on this first phase here to start, but I do want to give a quick look ahead so you're aware of what is coming up. In the progress phase, those teams that win the first phase, the plan phase, will work with their energy sector partners for the duration of the phase to develop and refine their solution, addressing the opportunities or challenges their energy sector partner is facing or partners are facing. Teams will present their progress towards implementing their solution. The progress phase is anticipated to last from about June through December of 2026. And at the end of the progress phase, up to 5 winners will be selected and awarded that $150,000 cash prize that we talked about earlier, as well as a $75,000 voucher to be used at a DOE national laboratory. This is also when up to 2 of the bonus prizes that we talked about will be awarded at the end of this phase here too. As I mentioned at the beginning, these are cash prizes. Teams who win them are able to use the funds in the way that they see fit for their projects. And the vouchers will have more specific guidance information as we get closer to phase 2 so that folks know what is entailed there. But a voucher is something you're able to redeem at a national lab to take advantage of their capabilities, which could be expertise or equipment or modeling or other items like that. And again, we'll have some more information on that as we get closer. So I just wanted to kind of preview looking ahead to the progress phase because you may be incorporating that into your future plans as part of your first phase submission. Okay. Would like to just quickly show you the HeroX platform so that you know how to navigate this portal and you know what resources are available to you. Hopefully everyone here is following the prize on this HeroX platform, but there is the web address for you. On this platform, you can do a number of things. One is follow the page, which means you will receive important updates. Whenever the prize administration team posts an update, you will get an email notification about that update. You can read the official rules document, and you can access the optional templates in the resource section. You can watch a recording of today's webinar. You can access the slides from today's webinar on this site. You can check the timeline for important dates. And if any dates were ever to be adjusted or changed, it would be reflected in that timeline. So you would want to keep an eye on that. And of course, this is where you would submit your application materials through the submission form. And I believe the link was put into the chat here. So if you're not already following the prize, please make sure that you do so. Just want to point out a few things on the page. So this is just a screenshot. If you're on the HeroX page and you scroll down just a little bit, that top blue arrow is pointing to the Solve This Challenge button. This is what you will click to access the submission form, where you will put your materials. When you do that, it saves and you can come back to it later, as I mentioned earlier. You don't have to do the whole submission at once. You can go in, add some items, and you can modify your items anytime until the submission deadline. That blue box there in the middle shows the different sections or tabs of the HeroX page. So the summary gives you high-level summary information. The timeline we just mentioned tracks important dates relative to where you are now. The updates section is when we post updates for you all to see that point out different information or resources or reminders. The forum I've highlighted here because the forum is a place where you can post questions. These are public facing, so anyone could see them. But it's a nice way to ask a question and we can respond so that others can see your same question. And the forum also has, you can see the blue arrow on the bottom here, the forum also has a section dedicated to partnership opportunities. You can use this space if you are looking, for example, for an energy sector partner, and you want to do some matchmaking, this is a great section to advertise yourself. So you can create a post with public-facing information about you and your team, your type of partners that you would be looking for based on your capabilities, your contact info, your location, whatever you'd like to share so that people can contact you if they're interested in partnering with you. And we're going to regularly be reminding folks about this feature and sending folks to this place so that they can see who may be available to partner with. Continuing along with that blue box there, I just want to make sure you know the resources and FAQ section on the end there. The FAQ are frequently asked questions. If you have some questions, that's a good place to start. And the resources is where you'll go to find the rules and the templates, today's slides, for example, and other resources available to you. So hopefully that gives everyone a nice quick overview here of the HeroX platform. If you do have any questions on how to navigate the platform or where you need to go to access certain items, you can always contact us and we're happy to help. Our last section today, before we jump into some Q&A, is to share with you a few opportunities to take advantage of connected to this prize, and then just a few reminders to finish us up here. So to start us off with a couple opportunities, I want to turn it over to one of our colleagues, Aaron. I think you are going to start. Aaron from Oak Ridge National Laboratory is going to share about the Grid Event Signature Library.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for the introduction, Lance. So once this edition of the Digitizing Utilities Prize was starting to kind of kick off again, we thought that it would be a good idea to use this opportunity to promote this tool that we've been developing here at Oak Ridge National Lab uh, to be a bit of an assistance for whatever kind of project or tasking or something that you are proposing to do. So we're hoping that this tool will be pretty useful for you if you decide to use it. So the Grid Event Signature Library is exactly as it sounds. It's a publicly available repository of labeled anonymized grid data recordings. And these are comprised of both synchrophasor and point-on-wave measurements, so we have quite a wide variety of different event types in our library. We have grid disturbances and even ambient conditions recorded from local or from multiple locations in some instances, plenty of sensor anomaly examples. So sometimes you may have the same event recorded by a sensor one way and then another sensor sees it in a different way, and it kind of gives you some direction on how to maybe to differentiate between those differences. And just recently, we launched a PMU signature matching tool, which is kind of a beta machine learning application that will allow you to upload a PMU signature waveform file, and then it will return the closest matches from the library to help give you a sense of maybe if you didn't know what a particular event was, it might be able to help shed some light on what you're looking at. So there are various ways that it can be used. So we have it can be used as a reference data set for algorithm benchmarking. It's an educational resource for data computation subject matter experts who are not experts in the grid domain. It can be used to validate real-world artifacts. So all the data in the library, I forgot to mention, is all from the field. Nothing is simulated. And it's also helpful for understanding a wide variety of system conditions likely to be encountered. So at a glance, from a high level perspective, we have over 5,500 event recordings, again, consisting of both PMU and point on wave measurements, spanning 13 different anonymized data providers. And as of a few weeks ago, we passed the 1,000 user mark. So we're very excited to see that continue to grow. Next slide, please.
Yep.
So access is free. All you need is a valid email address, and you can register here at this link. Some basic features that we have on the site include the actual dashboard of the data itself. We have an API for you to be able to interact with the library without having to navigate the website all the time, and there are instructions and detailed examples on how to use that on the website. We have a data quality library for both PMU and point-on-wave examples as well. So this gives you some visual aids for different measurement inaccuracies that you may encounter. We have a list of existing publications that have used the tool, and again, the PMU signature matching tool that I mentioned on the previous slide. And so one of the big things with data sharing we all know is concerns over privacy, and everything that we put online from our providers is anonymized specifically so that any identifying information that may be concerning to the data providers is stripped. And it typically varies from provider to provider. We don't have a one size fits all solution because everybody has different levels of sensitivity that they're concerned with. But the most common types of things that we do are we strip things like topology information. So a lot of kind of low level circuit information is not contained in the library for the most part. Sometimes there's per unit normalization. So we remove the voltage level. Sometimes timestamps are removed and it's just kind of annotated in the file as a relative timestamp starting from 0. And then, of course, the data provider's name is kept hidden. And like I said, this is not one size fits all. Sometimes providers will give us data and they say they're, very open to us sharing some of this information. But just know that if you are interested in perhaps sharing data down the line or using this, that we do have anonymization practices to help keep uh, sensitive information away from public eyes. And the last thing I wanted to mention is maybe some potential applications with this tool in the context of the Digitizing Utilities Prize. So data contextualization, in some cases, we have some data in the library right now that doesn't have the most detailed list of cause codes. So having some way to perhaps identify those could be a way, could be something worth pursuing. Model validation, simulation tuning. This is something that is very important, especially as we're looking more towards simulating larger parts of the power grid. Of course, we have our event detection enhancements and machine learning techniques for root cause analysis. So again, just wanted to present this as an opportunity, a tool that can be used in your submissions, or if you, like Lance mentioned earlier in the presentation, if your project results in data and you want to share it somewhere, this is also an opportunity to do that. That's all I have, so I will turn it back over to Lance.
Aaron, thank you so much. That's a great tool and resource for competitors here. I know that we put a link in the chat so you can access it directly. And again, we will be sending these slides out, so you'll have access to these here too. Thanks so much, Aaron.
Thank you.
One other opportunity we want to make sure everyone is aware of is just around the corner, and it's called Distributech. And this is a very large event that is happening in San Diego next week. And the Office of Electricity and the American Made program are going to be at Distributech, and you could come visit us. We will have a booth and sessions running from February 3rd through 5th next week. You can attend Knowledge Hub sessions to hear more about open competitions like this one. You can join a networking event to connect with other prize applicants. And the Office of Electricity and American Made will be at booth 901. So if you are going to be at DTech, feel free to come say hi to us, chat more about this prize and others. And again, there are going to be several events that you can join about prize competitions and other funding opportunities as well. So join us there. If you're in the area, it would be great to see anyone and chat about prizes. Okay, so just as a wrap-up reminder here, for the Digitizing Utilities Prize, if you're interested in competing, read the rules to learn more about the prize, ensure you're eligible to compete. Make sure you're taking a look at the sections of the rules that not only go over the different submission elements and how they're scored, but also at the beginning, there are high-level views of different types of energy sector partners or different types of energy projects that may be associated with a prize like this one to help give you some examples if you're wondering if your situation fits. If you do have questions, you can always contact our prize administration team at Digitizing Utilities Prize at nlr.gov. You can send us an email and ask your questions there. You can post in the forum, as I showed on the HeroX site. And once you're putting together your materials, make sure everything is submitted and looks the way you want in HeroX by April 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern. That is the deadline for all competitors and their materials. So with that, we would like to say thank you so much for joining. We're going to open up some Q&A if folks have had questions that have come up during today's presentation. We also recognize that some folks may have what they need and are going to jump off. So thank you to everyone who joined today. We are going to be posting these materials on the HeroX site for your reference. But at this point, let's jump in to any Q&A that folks may have. Feel free to use the Q&A box. And Carly, if there are any that we'd like to start with.
Yeah, we had a couple questions come in. Some of them are answered, but I do think they might be beneficial for everyone to know. But just starting with some of the open ones we have, how would you define an energy sector partner?
Yes, and this is a good place to reference in the rules. It's the very first section. It should be in 1.1 of the rules. There is a list of potential examples of energy sector partners. It's not an exhaustive list, but it should give everyone a good sense. For example, a rural electric cooperative, an investor-owned electric utilities, utilities owned by a political subdivision as a state, such as a municipality. There's a list that you can look in. Again, that's section 1.1 of the rules. And then individual competitors will, make that determination based on that list and your own situations there.
Great, that's really helpful. And then we had a question here. It looks like Sandy might be getting to that one, so we'll let her address that one. There was a question that came in for Aaron, and he sent the answer, but in case anyone else was curious, there was a question about the licenses associated with the GESL data. And Aaron, if you wanted to expand on this, you could, but there's no licensing info yet, and everything is open access. Wasn't sure if there was anything else you'd like to add there, or if you feel like that covers that, Aaron.
Nope, that pretty much covers it.
Okay, great. We've had other questions about eligibility, so I just really highly encourage everyone to read the document. I can post the prize inbox that we have, so once you've reviewed the rules, if there's anything you feel like still isn't addressed, feel free to reach out to us directly, but it's a pretty extensive rules document, so it helps to look through that. We had another one come in here, Lance. Can a team consist of only employees of the energy sector partner, so a nonprofit co-op, or is collaboration outside of the energy sector partner required?
I'll also let Sandy chime in if she'd like to on this one, but the primary partnership for a team competing in this prize would be a partnership between the um, the data pros or the scientists or the stakeholders with that energy sector partner. And so the team would comprise elements of both sides there. You might have others outside of those two groups, depending on how large you would like your team to be, involving other groups or stakeholders, or if you have multiple energy sector partners. But you will then sort of designate a lead, someone who's kind of being your point person, the person who's the main point of contact. That could be from either side. It kind of depends on your individual team situation. As Carly said, we encourage you to sort of read what the rules say about the kind of goals of how a team brings in an energy sector partner, as well as with eligibility, because people have so many unique specific situations. It's good to just be familiar with what the rules outline and then apply it to your own situation there.
Great, thank you for that.
Sandy, I'm not sure if you wanted to add on to anything there, or if there's that previous question that you wanted to speak to.
Sure, happy to add on to that. I think one of the things to keep in mind is the uniqueness of the prize, and that we do want to try and facilitate partnerships and facilitate, work that wouldn't be done otherwise. And so where, we can, as part of the prize plan, the competitiveness of the submissions we get, we'll certainly be looking at the team group and how they're kind of going outside their box to get additional insights that they might not have been able to access otherwise.
Great, thank you for
Great.
that.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy.
And
I
to
do know.
Add to
Yep.
the first question, which I answered, was on types of sensor data and whether only data from a utility would be eligible. I think the goal, like, not all grid data is actually from sensors that are owned by the utility. Increasingly, grid sensing is being done by third parties, as well as, new innovative types of sensors that can be hosted outside of the utility kind of ownership. And so other types of sensors are certainly within scope. And the kind of goal will be to help facilitate and kind of supplement grid sensing across both utility space and vendors to improve overall grid visibility, reliability, and affordability.
Great, thank you, Sandy. It looks like Jim, you raised your hand. Did you want to add in on that?
Yeah, Sandy, I wanted to double check with you on the question at the very bottom about a team consisting only of employees of the energy sector partner, a nonprofit co-op. Um, I just wanted to give you a chance to chime in there as well, since in round one we did have that, and maybe things have changed. I just wanted to double check on that one so that didn't we didn't lose one if we didn't need to for that.
Yep, we did have that in round one.
So is it
And sorry, and I don't think that will be disqualifying in round two either. Oh, sorry, round three.
okay? Thank you, Sandy.
Mhm.
Looks like we had one more question come in, but I might need some additional clarification here. It said the previous revision of the challenge allowed for hardware demonstrations that improved grid resiliency. This has been removed from this current challenge. Is there another challenge that may focus on this? So Lance, I'm not sure if maybe the question, and Fred, if you'd like to chime in here. It's in another question. I'm not sure if the question is there a different prize, or is there maybe a different track or phase or opportunity to do a
I
hard
think I
demonstration?
can address this.
Okay.
Being fairly familiar with the previous version, I don't think that this version disqualifies any hardware demonstrations. I think it allows for flexibility there with the demonstration, whether that innovative sensor is new hardware or not, right? It could be software only demonstration, but certainly hardware demonstrations are also within scope. So those could be included within the challenge. Hopefully that answers that question.
Great. Yeah. So Fred, if that didn't answer your question, feel free to rephrase. But I think, yeah, Sandy covered that.
Yep.
Thank you, Sandy. Mm.
Yeah, and I also just want to remind any questions that were here put in the chat and that we have answers to, we want to make sure any competitor has access to those questions and answers. So we will be posting these on the HeroX site. They'll be anonymized, no one's names associated with them, but we will make sure that answers to these questions are posted on the site so you're able to see those, and other competitors can see those too.
And it looks like Aaron wanted to answer a question live, or maybe he answered it through typing.
No, I was just responding to Bruno's comment. I was just going to say thank you for the suggestion.
Great. Like we had one more come in. Are there any, let's see, expectations on the TRLs before or after plan and progress phase?
That
Sandy.
is a good question. I don't think we specifically lay out target TRLs. I think generally the goal is to have them at least at the demonstration phase, right? After the final phase of the project. So they should be successful demonstrations. And, you know, obviously if they're close to commercialization, that's something that we'll be taking into account. I think that's part of the criteria, but I would encourage you to look at the criteria for the phase and the judging criteria there, which will be used to kind of outline that. And that is kind of a rough, that should give you some idea on the TRL level.
Great. Thanks, Sandy. And thank you everyone for these great questions. Again, we will make sure these are posted online so folks can review. And if you have any follow-ups, you can contact us on the HeroX site or at the email address that we had listed before. I'll just show it here again in case you need it there. And we're happy to clarify or expand on any of those here. But I think, Carly, that's it for our open outstanding questions, right?
Yep, that's all we've gotten.
Great. Want to give a big thank you to everyone for joining today and for your interest in this prize opportunity. Reach out with questions, see this recording and slides up on the HeroX site. Maybe we'll see some of you next week at DTech. Otherwise, thank you again, and we wish you best of luck competing in Digitizing Utilities Round 3. Thank you.
Thank you.